Hello, my little soul family. Welcome back to the channel. You may have noticed I have a little scratchy voice because I am sick with a cold right now. And I honestly didn't feel like filming, but I am committed to getting out 2 videos a week. So here we are. We're trying our best. This is going to be a short video today, but I've just been thinking a lot about my own life and the struggles I've been having, and boom, the Holy Spirit gave me today's topic. If you don't know what to do next and you're not hearing from God, go back to the last thing God told you. And honestly, this is something that one of my dear friends has told me throughout the years whenever I've been feeling stuck. It's been a great reminder. And I'm really feeling like I need to implement that in my life right now. Because the thing is, God will give us the next step when we're ready for it, whether that's, having the skills needed or having the capacity to handle what He has for us, or, we need to let go of some things or change our schedule or go a different direction in some part of our lives, whatever that is. Like, God is always going to give us the next step, but it's really easy when we haven't heard from Him for a while to start doubting. And I'm very guilty of this. I tend to really spin my wheels when I'm not hearing from God well. And that's been happening a lot lately in this season of my life. So after a failed attempt at moving to Korea, God has told me that I am going to be mobile and moving locations once a month. And that has been true for the last 5 months. And I am so tired of moving around. Don't get me wrong. I've been in Asia. I've been traveling. It's been a beautiful, healing, expansive time. And I'm so, so, so grateful for it. But with each passing day, with each passing month, I am just craving stability. And it's very interesting because God has continued to tell me it's not time to go back to the US yet. And so I've just kind of been going on this month-to-month basis. And pretty much once a month, at least, I have this little mini meltdown and I'm praying and asking God, what do you want me to do with my life? And He just doesn't really tell me anything. So I just have to keep going back to the last thing He told me, which is to just focus on one location per month. And now, so when I was in Korea, it was kind of one city per month. And now that I'm traveling around, it's kind of like turning out to be one country per month. And it's really interesting because every time I've tried to stay longer in any place, there's been huge roadblocks, like very clear signs that God is like, nope, it's time to move on, which is very, very interesting. And so I say all of this because if you are in a similar situation where you have been doing the thing God told you to do and He hasn't given you anything else, as frustrating as that is, you just have to keep doing that thing and trust that He will provide the next step when you're ready. And it's important when we're waiting on God to not just be sitting there doing nothing, which I also am guilty of at times, because sometimes when I don't know what I'm doing and I also don't really like what God has called me to do, it's easy for me to procrastinate or resist or try to do things my own way. And it's important to just stay on the path and trust that God is going to show up at the right time. It's all in His divine timing. But I know that can be really hard. And something else I want to touch on is doubt, because I tend to spiral and start doubting that I heard God correctly, that God knows what He's doing, that God is actually guiding me. And it just reminds me of so many stories in the Bible that highlight doubt and how God continued to show them that they could trust Him. Like when Moses, oh my gosh, I'm so sick. I forgot his name. Moses was doubting his calling when God called him to be the leader of the Israelites and lead them out of Israel, out of slavery after hundreds of years. Thomas doubting that the disciples had actually seen Jesus. And it's just so interesting because doubt is really where we can become paralyzed, like stuck and not move forward or move in the direction God is calling us to go in, or doubt can make us start going in a different direction. It can be distracting. It can move us in our own direction that we think like maybe we think that God is calling us towards, even though he hasn't told us. And I have this theory that for all the times that doubt is recorded in the Bible, there's so many amazing stories where doubt isn't recorded. And it just makes me wonder, did these people have any doubts? Because there's times that doubt is recorded in the Bible. So why isn't it recorded for certain situations? And that makes me wonder if those people just had this unwavering faith. Like when God called Abram to go to the land I'm calling you to. Like he had a general idea, right? But he didn't know exactly where God was going to land him. I mean, he had a whole name change process throughout that whole journey. But I find that Bible story really interesting with Abraham because if you read it, it says, go to the land I'm calling you to, or something like that. And then it says, then Abraham departed. And it's like, well, what happened in between when God called him and he actually left? Did he have doubt? And just the way that that story, as the specific example goes, like there's no real doubt recorded. There's camping and stopping. And when he got to the certain place, then God gave him the next step and said, this is going to be your land, but you have to keep going and you'll come back. And yeah, I just find that so interesting that these people did what God called them to do, and then he gave them the next step. And so maybe if God isn't giving you the next step, you haven't completed that part of the journey yet. Again, if you're feeling lost, confused, go back to the last thing God told you and do that thing to the best of your ability. And sometimes it's really vague. Like I said, like where God is calling me right now in my life, I have so many questions. I am not sure what I want to do with work. And I have an idea of what I want to do when I get back to the US, but God hasn't confirmed that. I don't even know how long I will be in the US again, because I know that I want to return to Asia and live here indefinitely. I'm dealing with a knee injury right now, and my body's telling me it wants to heal, but I'm not sure if now is the time to really focus on that. And so there's all of these little details and all these things, and it's so easy to get caught up on the what ifs and wondering and spinning our wheels. But I think if we just do what God has called us to do to the best of our abilities, stay close to him, communicate with him as much as we can, even if he's not really saying anything, like praise, worship, meditation, being in his presence, and trusting, believing, having strong faith that he's going to come through, then and trusting the process and knowing that it's truly all in his timing. And when he deems us ready for the next step, like just truly walking through life, believing that the answers are coming, even though we feel like we need them right now, but they are coming and God is with us and for us, and he has not abandoned us. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe so you never miss another video from me. Thank you so much for being part of this beautiful little soul family. Remember that I love you, God loves you more, and I will see you in the next video.